This is Kyle Madsen with your top stories on Sports 1140. The NBA trade deadline passed with a few more moves. Marc Gasol was traded from the Grizzlies to the Toronto Raptors. The 76ers dealt former number 1 overall pick Markelle Fultz to Orlando, and the Bucks acquired Nikola Mirotic from New Orleans. The Kings also got involved at the end of the deadline. They traded Skal Labissière to Portland for Caleb Swanigan. Sacramento also signed veteran free agent forward Corey Brewer to a 10-day contract. The Kings are in action tonight against the Miami Heat at the Golden One Center. It's Dwayne Wade's final regular season trip to Sacramento. Coverage here on Sports 1140 begins with game night at 5:30. Kings Live is at 6:30, and tip-off with the G-Man is set for 7 o'clock. It's 7:01. Time to get that perfect Valentine's Day gift at Sharif Jewelers. Spend $99 or more and receive a pearl bracelet at Sharif Jewelers. Those are your top stories. Now back to the drive on Sports 1140 KHTK.
Rise and shine, sleepyhead.
I'm not letting you go to work today.
Wait, what? Everybody, listen up.
Welcome to The Drive.
Morning, morning, morning.
You're gonna talk.
Get on the phone at 339-1140.
Pretty awesome, huh?
Jump in on our text line at 441140.
Everyone is talking about it. You must know that.
The Drive starts now.
Sean Salisbury with his regular appearance later today, bottom of the hour, as a matter of fact, 7:35 on the Fire Wings hotline. 21 different flavors to choose from. Firewings.com, just wing it. Grant Napier will join us at 8:05 on that same Fire Wings hotline. Want to hear from you at 800-920-1140. How excited is everybody for tonight's game? Are you as excited as I am? Truly excited for tonight's game and the debut, we think, of Harrison Barnes. I don't know about Alec Burks yet. I expect him to be in the lineup as well. I've been a Kings fan since the day they got here, since I was a little kid. I know the date, and I know I can give you the year that they last were truly making a playoff push, but I don't have a physical memory of it. In other words, I can't recall the feeling because it was so long ago. It was over a decade ago. And they're truly making a push. Now, let's be clear. If the Kings make the playoffs this year, they're ahead of schedule. They should not make the playoffs this year.
I think they're already ahead of schedule.
There's no doubt about it. Oh, I see what even if they miss, they're ahead of schedule. Well, I agree. Because, look at what Vegas said, 24.5 wins this year. They're above 500. They are starting to become a darling of many outside of this market. You hear things like exciting young core and the increasingly unflappable Sacramento Kings.
There was a question on The Jump the other day that I watched while I was exercising because I go to the gym. And it was...
I go to the gym, I'm Kyle. Ooh.
There you go.
Thank you.
It was, are you excited the Kings are good again? Or something like that.
Yeah.
Like that's on a national NBA show. They had the Chiron up with like De'Aaron Fox on there.
Sure.
And it, like,
from an outsider's perspective, Kyle, I think it's very similar to how you and I are doing sports radio in Sacramento. We have no care for a random market in the Midwest, but you and I, and I'm sure other sports fans around the country, took great happiness in seeing the Cleveland Browns have a semi-successful season.
Right.
Because they were so bad for so long. And you're going to get that same thing about the Kings from other markets where people who do not care about the Kings normally say, you know what, they deserve it. Those fans deserve it. They've been through so much.
It's very much, it's on a lesser scale because it's baseball, but it's very much how the A's are received, I think.
I think so, too, because everybody can root for it. Rooting for an underdog is the most American-y thing to do in sports. You root for the underdog.
It was the Warriors up until... They won 73. It was, dude. It was. It was. It was. It was. Like, you're mad. You're not. You're not mad because I said it. You're mad because I'm right.
I'm not arguing with you. I was in the middle of Kingsland, Kingsing, and then you warriored me.
I'm trying to.
Don't turn off your mic. Here, let's do something we can both agree on. Let's listen to this highlight.
Ingram all the way, reverse layup, no, loose ball, Rondo for the win, yes, Lakers win it.
That was in Boston.
Yeah, that was in
Boston. Did you hear that?
Yeah, did you? You're pointing out the crowd at the end.
Yeah.
Listen, it's a very difficult highlight to hear for us even, so we acknowledge that. But listen to the highlight. Listen to the crowd.
It's difficult because of how loud the crowd is.
Yeah, the crowd is crazy.
Ingram all the way, reverse layup, no, loose ball, Rondo for the win, yes, Lakers win it, Rondo, come back to Boston, Rajon Rondo!
Was that a Please Come to Boston reference?
I don't know.
David Allan Coe song?
I would normally instinctively try to be non-biased and praise the fact that in Boston, who have a ton of fans, this is not some downtrodden city or franchise, you had that big of a Laker representation in the crowd. Mm-hmm. And the fact that there is no doubt, you cannot deny that Laker fans travel well, or at least there are a lot of Laker fans throughout the country. But all that proves to me, all that tells me is not I respect Laker fan. It just... It underscores what's wrong with our country and why we're headed to why we have so many issues, because there are a lot of really dumb bandwagony people in the country. There's just a lot of really dumb people.
If LeBron James wasn't playing for the Lakers, I promise it wouldn't have sounded like that.
Speaking of LeBron James, talking about everything they've been through and where they're at now.
We didn't get down on each other tonight. When we went down 18, we just kept playing Lakers basketball.
They were down 18. They came back and won. This is why when I looked at, and we talked about this the other day, when we looked at the schedule and the Kings making the 8 seed, I truly believe it's going to have to be Utah. It's going to have to be San Antonio. I think if LeBron James is healthy, the Lakers came off. What was that loss? 43 points to Indiana?
46.
46.
42? It was a lot of points.
I think it was 46, actually.
40-plus points.
And they lost by 46 to the Pacers. By the way, the Victor Oladipo's Pacers beat the Lakers by 46 and then turned around and crushed, I think it was 26.
The Clippers.
Yeah. I mean, props to them, even though it was at home. Who cares?
On a back-to-back?
No. There was a couple days in between that, I believe. I don't think that was a back-to-back. I think, what is today? Friday? I think it was Tuesday that they won.
Really?
I'm almost positive. I'll look. I'm almost positive. But to see after the trade deadline that happened, yeah, it was Tuesday, 136-94. To see how, and that would, by the way, that was also a lot of Rondo in there too.
I would have sworn that was 2 days ago.
It was blah blah blah. It was on February 5th. It was
1 day. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
You know what? Screw you and your math.
Thank you. Let's go to the phones. Unscreened phone call. Who's this?
This is Derek.
Derek, hey buddy, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. I wanted to ask you about that, about some of your rejoin music. You ever heard that Sacramento Kings rap that they do for the baby blue jerseys?
I don't know. It generally, if it's been out, I've heard it because usually people will send them to me. I've heard different Sacramento Kings rap songs. I don't know if I've heard that one. So if you're out there, tweet it to me, people, and I'll try to listen to it during the break.
Yeah, have Kyle look up on YouTube Sacramento Kings cartoon intro.
Oh, okay. I've seen the cartoon intro. I got you. You want me to use it as a rejoiner?
Oh yeah, it'd be awesome.
Okay. Did you write it?
Cool. Did I write it? No.
Yeah. Okay, I'm just asking. I'll be fine. I mean, that's good if you're plugging it.
No. I'm just a fan, and I just loved it. I mean, it reminded me of that. Do you remember that cartoon in the early '90s? It was like the Sports All Star. It was Michael Jordan and
yes.
like Gretzky. It just totally reminded me of that. It was retro. It was awesome.
Yeah, they had the Thank you, Derek. They had the cartoon intros earlier this year at the Kings games, I believe. Where do I want to go here in the rest of the segment? Markelle Fultz is a member of the Orlando Magic. That was quick. Which kind of goes to show you, man, Danny Ainge. He knows what he's doing. Now, we're not ready to put Markelle Fultz in Anthony Bennett land yet, are we? We're not there yet, are we?
Ooh.
Are we there? I'm not there.
Anthony Bennett, for as little as he did in the NBA, did more than Markelle Fultz.
You're right. And it's probably the injury situation. But God,
Anthony Bennett tearing it up in the G League right
yes,
now.
he is.
I think for the Clippers G League team.
I need another. I'm going to give Markelle Fultz another 2 years. I'm not giving up on him, but right now he is in all-time bust zone. Yeah.
If all things remain the same for the rest of his career, and he just doesn't do anything, like he rides the Magic's bench and gets cut and then floats around the G League and then is out of the league, he will be, to me, the biggest bust of all time.
And when you say biggest bust, it's kind of interesting how we quantify that, because is he the biggest bust for a number 1 pick?
Yeah, I think.
Do we put him as a bigger?
I think you weight the bust level
agree.
by.
Does it matter who's drafted around you? Because, for example, you've got Sam Bowie over Jordan, Greg Oden over Durant.
No, because if Markelle Fultz had just an average NBA career, like he's not a bust as the number 1 pick based on who went after him.
Because you've got Oden and Bowie. Olo Candy was he a number 1 pick?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was. But you're putting him in that category. Yeah,
how could you not? He played like 6 games.
That was a weird draft, Kyle. Victor Oladipo was the 2nd pick in that draft?
Yes.
Otto Porter was 3rd. Ben McLemore was 7th. C.J. McCollum was 10th. That is the draft that is one of the weirdest drafts of all time, especially when you consider the fact that Giannis Antetokounmpo went 15th and Rudy Gobert went 27th. And if you're doing that draft over again, I expect you would go Antetokounmpo.
Yeah, Giannis goes 1.
Of course, yeah, but I'm struggling
I think
on.
Vic still goes 2.
Vic goes before Gobert?
Oh,
that's tough.
Okay, maybe Gobert 2, Vic 3.
I think Gobert goes 2nd. I will reserve judgment depending on what that team needed at the time. In other words, I need to go back and see if, for example, the Magic needed a center or whatever. And then I think, I don't know, probably McCollum 3rd, Otto Porter 4th, maybe. Either way, that was a weird draft. In Markelle Fultz's case, as we take a break here, I don't think it's so much necessarily he was a bust or could be a bust as number 1. It's what happened below him, too, and what's turning out to be a very good draft that included our very own De'Aaron Fox. 4-quarter territory is next. We will wrap up the trade deadline, how it affected the NBA and how it affected your Sacramento Kings, and we'll take your calls at 339-1140. We see you on hold. We'll get to you next. Sports 1140 KHTK. Here we go. You want to talk about a class act. Guy gets his, it's a business, I get it. Guy gets his life upended. It's nice enough to reach out hours after. He's going to come on the show yesterday until he found out he was going to be on a plane. That's the business. Apologized, which he had no reason to apologize for it. And then once again today, he reaches out. Iman Shumpert had an effect on the locker room, the players, and the community in such a short time that he was here relatively. And though he is now a Houston Rocket, as you guys heard yesterday, not just on this show, on all the shows, social media, the outpouring of love for Iman was deafening. And I know he heard you all the way in Texas. Nice enough to join us right now before shoot around. Iman, it's Dave. What's up, man? Thanks for joining us.
What's going on, Dave? Just getting up. Yeah, getting used to this different time zone, but I'm just getting up.
You got your doggies out there yet, or is, you still got to pick up a lot of stuff from back here?
You said my what?
Your dogs. Yeah, I remember last time you.
Oh, no. I just got one dog. He's still in Sacramento. Yeah, I just got on the team plane. I haven't done anything. I just got here and went to the gym. That's all I really know in times of confusion.
Were you? It's always probably a surprise. We had Jack Cooley on yesterday, and you knew Jack last year, and Jack said, for a guy like Justin Jackson, it's his first time, and it's always tough your first time. And he said, for a guy like Iman's seen it all, he's been through it all. Iman's a grown man and can deal with anything. Is it still relatively a surprise and a shock to you, or have you kind of gotten used to the business by now?
It was still a shock. It was a shock. Usually, your agent has some sort of idea of what's going on. that you could be traded. You know, you're in talks, and this one was probably a lot like when I first originally got traded to Cleveland, where I didn't see it coming. Nobody talked to me about much. It just sort of happened randomly. I actually got a call leading up to it that it might happen when I was in New York. But this one was, you know, the first person I talked to was Vlade, and I appreciated that because Vlade called me while I was on my way to the game, and we were able to talk, and then we were able to sit down face to face. He was able to explain the move to me, and you know, grown men shake their hands, and you know, we continue on.
Iman Shumpert with us. A lot of fans want to know: do we still get to use scores, or do we just get it on like weekends and summers?
It's crazy. I had a bunch of the shirts, and people had been asking me for them for weeks, but it was taking so long just to get the Shopify and everything set up for the website, and I wanted to get my other clothes on there. And I put the score shirt up first, probably 2-3 days prior, and the moment I got traded, it was like everybody just, I guess they realized when they went to my profile that the link was up, and they started running through the shirts. I don't think there's many shirts left. But it's nothing that I wouldn't still want them to call themselves the Scorers. It was more a nickname than anything. It's not like we actually changed the name of the jersey, but it was just something cool for the team to hold on to, and that core group is still there. So I think they're going to still continue that Scorers thing, and I feel like they should.
Iman Shumpert with us from Texas. Iman, there's no doubt these young players especially worshipped you. You had such a great effect on them. You helped bring that swagger back. You helped continue the culture change. I know you had an opportunity to talk to some, if not all of them, and without going into personal detail, that's between you guys, but just generally, what did you tell the kids when you left?
I just tried to remind them of, the business side of it. I told them early on when I first got there about the business side of it, understanding, at any time, anything to happen, trying to be a professional, like all the things that I constantly preach to prepare them to, if they were to ever be traded. And ironically, I'm the one that gets traded, and just helping them to understand that, I think, softened the blow a little bit. But I mean, when you build relationships with guys, I mean, we all became really, really close. Not only just becoming close on the court, I think off the court. When I first got there, we didn't hang out as much. Guys didn't want to go to dinner as much. And, throughout this season, this new season that started, we were all going to dinner. It was, groups of 8 to 10 guys going to dinner together. And, you get really close. So some of that stuff is hard to deal with. But like I was telling them, before I got to wrap my arms around guys leaving the locker room, we'll see each other in the summer. We're going to see each other through competition. And, everybody that's in this league, it's like a fraternity. We hate each other on the court. We get our 48 minutes to hate each other and try and go kill each other. And then, off the court, you see a bunch of guys that are, great family men, great representatives of the community, guys doing all these other things that, can help the world in some way. So it's hard to hate a guy off the court. And, they're all still family to me.
Iman Shumpert with us. Iman, I have no problems being honest with you. We've gotten to know each other a little bit. When you got traded here, I think a lot of fans, people like me, all thought, okay, that's a throw-in. He may not ever even play for the Kings. Who knows what's going to happen here? I thought it was 50-50 whether or not you'd ever suit up and be on the floor for the team. And then not only did you suit up, but again, we've talked about the effect you had on the locker room, on the players, and you played some pretty damn good basketball on the floor as well. So we were all surprised in such a great way by the effect you had. Were you surprised by the effect the city and the fans and the team had on you a little bit, or did you expect this coming in?
I don't know. The way I approach a game is different than a lot of people. I think a lot of people have become so analytical at a game of basketball. And don't get me wrong, analytics means something. They'll tell a story or something. But it's hard to measure the heart of the game, the heartbeat of the game, and how the game is played the right way, and just the energy of the game and how it's supposed to flow. There's no real stat to put on it. And I appreciate that side of the game so much. Just, the way my father taught me the game, it was those things that when everybody gets to that level playing field of, okay, everybody's good, everybody can shoot right hand, left hand layups, everybody can spin, everybody can go through the legs, everybody can windmill dunk. When all those things level out, what puts you over the top, and it's all those good things, those good qualities of basketball that, don't get the stat all the time. And I've always tried to, play every game, approach every game the same way and playing the right way, the right brand of basketball, things that I felt like always made me successful. And anytime I step onto the court with whatever team I'm stepping on the court with, I try and bring that. I try and bring an energy, a vibe that makes basketball fun again and not so pressured with numbers. Like, I think everybody right now is just pressured with numbers. Sometimes you got guys go out there and, in the middle of trying to win a game, they're trying to also make sure they get their average or trying to make sure, they get their all-star pick or whatever. And that can, junk up the game sometimes and ruin, what we're trying to get accomplished. I'm only in this league to win championships. I never came in the league for personal value. And I feel like when you have that, it automatically staples you with any team. Any fan can naturally see that from coming to the game. Now, if you check the box score all the time, yeah, you probably be like, oh, whatever, this guy did good today, this guy did that good today. But when you start coming to a game, which is why I always caption stuff, you ever been to a scoreless game? Because when you come to the game and you get to feel it, you get to see it, it's a totally different vibe, and you have a totally different mindset of, what the scores are and what the game is when you get to appreciate it. So, I wasn't shocked to answer your question. I feel like every city I go to, I try and give, the basketball fans some insight on how this really goes, as opposed to when they don't really follow this team. They just see your name across the ticker, or they check the box score and say, okay, how many points did you have? Okay, you ain't do nothing today. I just try and get them to appreciate the game again.
Iman Shumpert checking in. He's got shoot around, so we'll wrap up with him saying hello and goodbye to the many Sacramento Kings fans that poured out their support yesterday and today. Obviously, you had a huge effect on the fan base. I'll ask you this. We talk again about the guys you leave behind. If there was a flaming torch of leadership that you were to pass on, is there a specific guy on this team you pass that to? Is there somebody you look to that you look in the eyes and say, it's your team, and go forward and win some ball games?
Well, it wasn't my team to begin with. I think the keys to this car has always been De'Aaron Fox. You got to start with your point guard, and I don't even think we ran out for layups. I wouldn't. I always told them to hold the group back until De'Aaron Fox is ready to run out. You don't go anywhere without the driver to your car, and when he goes, this team goes. He's able to get his shot at any time. He's able to calm the game down, speed the game up. He's able to defend at a high level. You talk about somebody doing it by example. You got Buddy Hield scoring the ball out there, bullheaded at front. But if you talk about the leader and the driver of the vehicle, it's definitely De'Aaron Fox.
If Vegas took odds on standing ovations, the easiest bet in the world would be March 30th. That's Saturday, and that's when the Houston Rockets return to Sacramento. On behalf of the fan base, everybody here, we so very much appreciate everything you did for this team, which I think not only affected this year, Iman, but will affect this team for years down the road. And I'm coming after you. You guys land from Denver Thursday night, March 28th after that game. I'm coming after you Friday to come in here and hang out. A lot of people don't know, Iman and I have been trying to plan a sit down and have some fun with him up here in the studio for a while, and obviously the business of the NBA got in the way. I got lunch on me, man, if you can make it.
Hello?
Hey, Mon, did I lose you?
Yeah, I'm here now.
I'm sorry. I was just rambling and saying thank you and then inviting you when you come back March 30th. That's a Saturday. I said we got to try to hook up that Friday, have you come in. I know we've been talking about that for a while.
Oh, yeah, definitely. We can get it.
Iman Shumpert joining us from Houston. Iman, thank you so much. I know you got shoot around here in a couple of minutes. Look forward to seeing you kick ass on another team, but we'll always miss you here, and you're always going to get the fans standing up every time your name's announced for the rest of your career in Sacramento.
I appreciate that. I'm going to miss y'all too, man. Thank you for all the love.
All right, brother. Thank you. That is Iman Shumpert in Houston. Nice enough to call in. He's got shoot around like literally in 5 minutes. I could listen to that dude talk basketball all day long. He has a very unique way. Not that he's the only one. He has a very unique way of laying what he said about analytics and what goes beyond the box score, and why he always says, have you been to a game? Right. Are you seeing what's happening behind the scenes or on the floor that doesn't show up in the box score? It makes a lot of sense, and you can see why, yeah, the Kings are better on paper, and you hope are better in the long run. But Iman Shumpert going to Houston is going to be a huge win for them, and that leadership certainly will be missed here in Sacramento.
Yeah, very cerebral way of approaching basketball in a way that, like you said, goes beyond setting screens and shooting threes and all that. Just a very unique way of having that explained.
And as we break, and props to Vlade, seriously, knowing he's going to get Harrison Barnes, Iman Shumpert in a contract year, you don't want to bury him on the bench. He's going to go play some very significant minutes and get some very significant exposure in the playoffs, you would think, out there in Houston. As we mentioned yesterday, he's going to make a little more money this year with that no state tax in Texas. Our thanks to Iman Shumpert. That will be available for those of you who came in the middle or missed most of that, or just want to hear it again on the KHTK app. You can also check out the KHTK YouTube channel for the video archives as well. We'll take a break. When we come back, Sean Salisbury, we're running a little bit late. We'll get to him next right here on Sports 1140 KHTK.
This is Kyle Madsen with your top stories on Sports 1140. The NBA trade deadline passed with a few more moves. Marc Gasol was traded from the Grizzlies to the Toronto Raptors. That's going to be weird to see. The 76ers dealt former number 1 overall pick Markelle Fultz to Orlando, and the Bucks acquired Nikola Mirotic from New Orleans. The Kings also got involved near the end of the deadline. They traded Skal Labissière to Portland for Caleb Swanigan. Sacramento also signed veteran free agent forward Corey Brewer to a 10-day contract. The Kings are in action tonight against the Miami Heat at the Golden One Center in what's likely Dwayne Wade's final trip to Sacramento. Coverage here on Sports 1140 begins with game night at 5:30. Kings Live is at 6:30, and tip-off is set for 7 o'clock. It's 7:37. Time to get that perfect Valentine's Day gift at Sharif Jewelers. Spend $99 or more and receive a pearl bracelet at Sharif Jewelers. Those are your top stories. Back to the drive on Sports 1140 KHTK.
The best morning show on KHTK. The drive continues now.
Running a little bit late for good reason. Our sincere thanks to Iman Shumpert for checking in and really just kind of saying goodbye to the Sacramento Kings fans. One thing he said a lot of things that were very interesting, and you can, as I said before, hear that all on the KHTK app and also the KHTK YouTube page if you want to watch the show itself, brought to you by Jiffy Lube and the Sac Republic. That'll all be available here not too long from now. Nice of him, though, to call in. The Kings fans are very important to him. And like I said, I could listen to that dude talk basketball and really life all day long. Speaking of people I could listen to all day long and have listened to for a lot of time in my life, I think he and I have been doing radio, podcasts, talking to each other now. God, can you believe what, 6-7 years now? And this is all from me one day just taking a shot in the dark and asking him if he can come on my show on Twitter. He comes on my show. I'll never forget this. I text him back. I say, hey, thank you so much. That was amazing. It was one of the best interviews we've ever had. And he says, well, I've got time each week. If you want to do it each week, let's do it. And ever since then, we're off to the races. Sean Salisbury, who hosts 1 to 4 p.m. That's our time. His radio show. You can get that on the Houston iHeart app. You can follow him at Sean Unfiltered. Good morning, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. How are you doing?
6 years. Almost 7 years you and I have been talking to each other, Sean.
Been a hell of a run, man. A lot of times have changed in between them, but it's all for the better. So it's been great. So I appreciate it. It was fun to do.
You and I go down memory lane probably way too much for old friends, but you said it. When you think about the fact, when you go back and think about, I got fired from my job. You were kind of going through your own hurdles and all that. When you think about, especially you, where you're at now and where you're going, it puts a smile on my face to think about what could change in 6 short years.
Oh yeah, and it can change in the dime and leave you 9 cents change, man. And the same for you. Believe me, you're doing plenty. Your show's killing it. Life's good, and we're blessed to be doing what we're doing, getting paid and talking sports and having some laughs along the way, man. I don't ever forget rock bottom because I know I ain't ever going back. So it was appreciated then, it's appreciated now, and I always enjoy coming on. You know that.
Sean Salisbury can understand a lot of things that many of us cannot. Sean, I know about your career well enough from knowing you, but honestly, I don't know if we've ever had this conversation. We had Iman Shumpert on shortly before you came on, and thank you for being so flexible. We went long with him, and he was saying goodbye to the fans after being traded just before the trade deadline. Whether you went through a trade or went through a cut, do you still remember, and was there a time when you got used to it or more used to it than normal, or did it still hit you hard each and every time?
Yeah, it sucks. It sucks, and we'll take Shumpert here. I mean,
right.
We need a perimeter defender and a guy who can play 3 and D, and we'll take him, and he's got some energy, and he doesn't back down. So one city's loss is another city's gain. I know you guys will miss him, and he's been good for you, and he'll be really good for us on a team that needs some good perimeter defense and a guy who could lock someone down. No, you don't get used to it, man. And the NBA is odd because some guys get traded in the middle of a game.
Yeah.
In baseball, same way, a guy will get traded, and you've got to go to the other club. But you never get used to it. When you get used to it, it means you accept it. But you learn to deal with it, Dave. You learn to know that there's going to be, that sometimes it's a numbers game, it's a business. The key is never take it personal, unless you make it personal. If it's for some reason somebody calls you and says, "I just don't like you." Well, I don't like you either, so get rid of me. But for the most part, it's you don't fit here, or money wise, or they drafted a guy, or it's better for us this way. And I remember the first time I got cut. I'd never been cut from anything in my life. You're always the best player in every sport and everything you do, and first guy picked in your gym, all those things. And I can remember the first time I got cut, I was like, whoa, are you really looking at me and telling me I'm not one of the 53 best dudes on this team?
Yeah.
I didn't say that, but I was thinking it. But then, hey, do you realize the best coaches in the world get fired? The best players in the world, it happens. So what you do is the chip just grows on your shoulder, and you give thanks for having an opportunity that many in the world don't get, and you go to work a little harder, a little smarter, a little wiser, and the more, if it happens more than once, you become a little more, I guess, I don't want to say immune to it because you never get used to it, but hardened by it, and then you realize it is just a business. This is not, when Chuck Knox had to cut me, my first time, Chuck Knox liked me, and I was young, but I used to have room, and he thought I was a really good player, and I knew I was too, and I love Chuck Knox to this day. I get Chuckisms and stories that'll last me forever. And I love the man for shaping some of the things. And what you do learn, Dave, is to be grateful for those guys. If they have to cut you, but what they taught you. So I've taken something from any coach and every coach that I've ever been with, from high school to now to this day, that has taught me some lesson. Some better than others, but has taught me a lesson.
Sean Salisbury with us. And Sean, we talk football generally, but just crossing sports here. New Orleans did not trade Anthony Davis to your Lakers, right, and now they're saying they're going to play him for the remainder of the year. Sean, I'm split here. On one hand, I feel for Joe and Jill, average fan, who has season tickets to the Pelicans games. They have a right to see Anthony Davis, and they have a right to see that team play as well as they possibly can. On the other hand, it seems like the dumbest move you could possibly think of when you're probably trading him this summer. Almost certainly they're not going to make the playoffs, and you're now risking not only putting wear and tear on this guy, but Anthony Davis ain't exactly like Mr. 82 games a year. I'm not sure where to slide on this one.
Yeah, I'm with you. You say, okay, the loyalty business is, we were just talking about it, business is business, and the biggest and best business asset you have is about 7 feet tall, is the best big man in the league. However tall, close to it. And you know that you're going to get like 3/4 of a team for him or something. You know, you're going to rebuild your team from one dude. And so you say, okay, what if he turns an ankle? Well, you don't want to do that, but you also, this fan base that's there and suffered through some unfortunate seasons and knows that the best player in their city, not named Drew Brees, is leaving. And now you're like, okay, now what? Do we not play him? Do we do it? But you do owe it to the fans. Now, and Anthony Davis, I would think, wants to play.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand a game or two off, but damn, if you came and told me we got 30 games or so left, dude, we're going to sit you. See, most players don't look at that as a vacation. They're like, oh, hell no, you're not. I'm staying in shape. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to play. So you want to play, but there's a lot of risk, you know, and little reward about playing him because you know he's gone. The only reward is the fans get to say goodbye and give him however many games they have at home of the 30 or so left. So, you know, I to be honest with you, you know what? If you're New Orleans and you're going to do this and you're going to spot play him and give him, you know, his workload's too much, let's sit him down every third game. You know, maybe you better not raise your prices next year. Maybe you better lower them a little bit. And the fan always gets hosed. It just does when it comes to money and all that. So at some point in time, I like an owner that steps in and says, no, not this time. We traded away our best asset, or we're going to or maybe all, I don't know, I'm just reaching, Dave. Maybe all the hot dogs and soda for beers half price when Anthony Davis plays, you know, and that he's got them. I don't know. Hell, I don't know. It's. But I'm with you. If you're New Orleans, you're saying, damn, we're about to trade him for 8 players and a bunch of draft picks or whatever. Let's rest him. And if you're Anthony Davis, you say, no, you're not resting me. I owe it to these fans, and I owe it to myself to play. I got to earn a paycheck. And if you're the fans, you want to see him play. So it's kind of a screwed situation that teased everybody, but you know when you tease in Tampa and do all that, the guy's gone. He's not coming back to New Orleans. We all know that. So it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, and nobody wins other than when Anthony Davis leaves and gets paid and goes to a team that you think is going to be a playoff team. It's unfortunate all the way around.
Sean Salisbury with us, switching sports now back to football. Sean, not an easy question, I would imagine, but simply put, is Sean McVay a little bit overrated, or did Sean McVay just fall victim to being young and getting pantsed by the greatest of all time?
The latter.
Yeah.
I don't think he's taken the team. Think about who they were before he got there, and think about who they are now. Yeah. I mean, so I tend to back off towards overrated. And when I listen to Wade Phillips or people talk about him, I don't think he's overrated. I think what happened, Dave, we could talk about boredom and all that. It was really, it's 3-3 in the fourth quarter. The game was on the line. It's still a pretty damn close game, and it matters. The ring's not going to say 6th Super Bowl ring, we bored you guys dead. Players don't care about fans. They care about fans, but they're not there for your viewing pleasure. They're there to win a football game, however they can do it. Because if this was the 2000 Ravens, think about how the optics have changed, Dave. If this was the 2000 Ravens or the Seattle Seahawks where they won their Super Bowl against Denver, we'd be raving that it was an all-time epic defensive performance. And now, in a matter of just a handful of short years, even in 5 years, Mahomes 50 touchdowns, the Rams averaging over 32 points a game. All these points and individual numbers. Now we're pissed that a team pitched damn near a shutout against a 32.5-point average per game. So, the Rams defense players are saying, forget that. This was the equivalent of scoring 60 on offense. That's how they feel as a defensive unit. And Belichick, so, you saw Bill excited talking to Gronkowski about they're going to go out and have a good time. Bill's like, this is one of my best efforts with this team, and we pitched, gave up 3 points. But with McVay, it came down to this. And I asked this, Dave, I told you, I think, on your show the week before, and I said it on mine that all the time, and about 80% of the guests I had on Radio Row, I said, is there a chance that the Goff-McVay situation, that they could feel overwhelmed in this first Super Bowl? Well, after I saw him in the second half of the Saints game, I'm not real sure that Goff came back, and that's fair. But the truth of the matter is it came down to the teacher completely formally schooled the pupil. Yep. He just did. And Goff was in over his head for much of the game. Now, does that mean they can't learn from it and be great in 2 years, win the whole thing? And of course it doesn't if they approach it the right way. Let it fester, let it bother you for about a month, be pissed, let it soak in that you don't ever want to do that again, and go back to work. But, not overrated. I just think, in the McVay case, and I think Goff's a good player too, I just think that you ran into the best of all time at quarterback, you ran into the best of all time at game planning, and the best coach of all time. And it is, like I said, Dave, it's different. You can give me all you want about the regular season, the playoffs, Super Bowl. it's different. It ain't just a normal game. The field's just as long, but it's different. And they were out-coached, out-game planned, outperformed, especially when it came to the Rams offense and the Patriots defense.
Sean, I want your perspective on this. What the heck is going on with Todd Gurley?
I'm telling you, let's put it this way. If he is hurt and the Rams aren't telling us, shame on them.
Yeah.
If he not because we deserve an answer, but because, damn, we're killing, we're crushing this dude. And so if he is hurt, you'd want to say, dude, you guys don't crush him. His knee's hurt. From a month ago, he just never got it back. Well, all we ever heard from Tracy Wolfson in the week before on the sidelines in New Orleans is he's fine. He kept coming back in the game, and his speed time, I guess they clocked his speed time, was up near 20 miles an hour. He hit the fastest speed in the game. So you say, okay, the guy's got to be healthy. So if he is healthy, this is one of the two-game – this is one of the Saints in the Super Bowl. It's one of the two-game choke jobs by a great player of all time.
Yeah.
It just is. So I don't know. If you name 3 backs in the league, Gurley's going to be one of them. And was he pissed that C.J. Anderson came in and got more love? You know, the jealous boyfriend or what? That some other girl's paying another guy attention. Me and the Rams paying it to C.J. And so he felt like, okay, if you can do it with that. I'm just speculating. I don't know. Hell, none of us do, because if he's healthy and that one big run he had, he looked like he had great burst. If that's the case, then we always put it on quarterbacks and coaches as a stage too big. Hell, Gurley for 2 games in a row completely disappeared and left his team hanging. I don't think he meant to. I'm trying to say I think this guy matters, or is he just a good regular season player? I wish I knew, because if he's healthy, it was about as bad. I mean, I think Walter Payton, Emmitt Smith, Marcus Allen, Eric Dickerson, would they, in 2 straight games like this, could you have turned around and said, 10 yards and 30 yards? I mean, it was horrible, and they couldn't win against the Patriots without him having a much bigger game. They had 1 attempt. Now, this isn't his fault. 2 attempts, 1 catch for -1 yard. He disappeared completely for 2 straight weeks, 2 straight games. So I don't know. I'm a Gurley fan, but man alive, was he a letdown? So if he's not hurt, you talk about falling off a cliff for 2 weeks. It was unbelievable.
He's the host of the Sean Salisbury Show on Sports Talk 790 in Houston. That's 1 to 4. You can catch it here in Sacramento on the Houston iHeart app. You can follow Sean at Sean and Felser. Sean, when I was bringing you on, it didn't even occur to me that your market there just got Iman Shumpert. We'll have to talk off the air, and I gotta hook you up with his info. I'm telling you right now, host to host, friend to friend, he's one of the best guests you can have on the air. And as much as I hate the fact that we lost him, I get it. It was a good move for us, and I'm happy you're going to be able to enjoy him.
Yeah, thanks. Me too. I've heard, obviously I've watched him plenty in Cleveland and with you guys, and everybody, teammates love him. Like I said, he can lock you down on the perimeter, and he'll play better against big guys too. He's not going to back down from anybody, and he can knock down a 3 when you need him. But they got plenty of offense. The biggest problem here is, a lot of ISO basketball, but can you go down and grab one of their best players and play bigger or smaller when necessary? Shumpert can. I've heard nothing but good things about him. He's got a fun personality too, which this locker room's going to need, and just a good addition for us. So we'll take him. I'm looking forward to it.
Sean, you're the man. We will talk to you in a week. Thank you so much, and have yourself a fantastic week.
I appreciate it, brother. You guys too. Thanks.
All right, take care. That's Sean Salisbury. Hey, that's a fine 45 minutes of radio in my book, and it had really nothing to do with Kyle or myself. Iman Shumpert, followed by Sean Salisbury, and oh, by the way, Grant Napier in 10 minutes.
This show is really at its best when we let other people talk.
You're 100% correct. We'll take a break. When we come back, the voice of your Sacramento Kings. You can also hear him with the legend Doug Christie, 3 to 7, Monday through Friday, right here on the Sporty 1140. Grant Napier will join us, and we will recount many of the things that have happened in Sacramento Kingsland this week. The drive continues right after these words from Hoblet Ram on Sports 1140 KHTK.